Hello again to each and everyone. I had to cut you shortly on the last video I did because my passenger had returned. She is now gone. And incidentally, that lady stopped me at a bus stop before I go on with our story. Just to explain to you, that lady stopped me at a bus stop on the King's Road. And she asked to go to Canary Wharf. Now, she wanted me to agree a fare with her. Which, at the time, I thought, I said, look, it will go over £20, but I'm not sure. I says, I'll put the meter on. When we get there, we'll discuss it. She was happy with that. But because of the traffic, I actually then suggested to her, look, maybe we should go on the south side and then come back over one of the other bridges to get her there, which she was happy with. By the time I got to Tower Bridge, the fare was £19 on the meter, and lo and behold, something you cannot foresee, they decided to open Tower Bridge to let a ship through. So we were stuck there, which was neither of us' fault. But we had agreed a price, so I had to stick to it. And that's what we London cab drivers do sometimes. I got her to Canary Wharf anyway. By the way, this lady was so impressed. She then said to me when we got to Canary Wharf, she said, you know what? How much would you charge me to stay with me until 3 o'clock? It is now 29 minutes past 3. That lady's just got out of my cab. And before she got out of my cab, she took my number and says, we'll do the same again tomorrow. Okay? So, it depends on how you deal with things. And the fact she was happy that I was able to get her there, and we hardly had any traffic until we got to Tower Bridge. This is the London cab driver, and no sat-nav did this for me. But the hard work of 3 years on the streets of London, pounding those streets like every other cab driver, male or female, whatever you want to think, whatever religion, from you pounding those streets, you would have known to do what I did. Okay? So that lady has now took my number and decided she wants to do the same again tomorrow, which, yes, we will do. So, just to let you know that bit about things we do out here. And also yesterday, before I go any further. Now, this is the first I've ever had in the cab trade in the 24 years I've been driving. Sitting at the rank at Clapham Junction Station. A gentleman came up to the cab and I said, yes, sir, where do you want to go? He said, no, I've got a problem. I said, go on. He could not tie his tie. He did not know how to do it. And he asked me if I would tie his tie for him. And I tried to do it at first around my neck, but I remembered I would have to take off my hat to get the tie over my head. So I tied it on his neck instead. Now, when I tied that tie for him, he was so happy. I think he was going for a job interview. Now, whether he got the job or not, I don't know. But he was happy with the way his tie was tied. And while I tied and fixed his tie, our next cab driver turned his collar down and fixed it for him. Okay? But we were already sitting at that rank for half hour. But this is what happens with a London cab driver. If we're meant to be ambassadors of London, people will come to you with all sorts of things. Even which time a bus comes. But anyway, back to what I was saying about the carriage officer. I think the last time I left off, I was talking about the killer that was allowed on the knowledge. And for the people who might just be seeing this and wonder what I'm talking about, I am actually talking about the black cab trade, the situation we've now found ourselves in. Yes, in my book, a lot of this is the way TfL has run this whole show. Yeah, they have run it like, I don't know, like they've let go some lunatic in the asylum, man. They've run it stupid. Simple things that could have been done, but they've allowed political corruptness to affect the way they do things. And I say it again, political corruptness, because in this country they call it political correctness, but there's nothing correct about it. Because all it does is corrupt the minds of the people. And that's why we have things like Brexit today, and we have Donald Trump sitting in the White House, because of you do-gooders. You white do-gooders are the cause of this. But anyway, right. After that little bit, we go back to what I'm saying about the killer. Now, This man was allowed under knowledge. All because some member of staff did not use their discretion and think, well, do we really want a man like this driving people on the streets of London? You got to remember, when people get a badge, and this is both the black cab and the private hire. Now, in some ways, you had a control over the private hire, the ones that worked from an office. They're not the problem, the ones that work from an office. Because I believe Uber has hurt them the most. We coexisted with those guys. The same with Addison Lee, the whole lot. We coexisted. Okay? Because of the way it was done. They followed the program. They followed how the rules were set. Most of the private hire firms where you have to get the cab from an office, you find they're not such a problem. And I will even go as far as to mention one of them, Keen's Cars in Battersea. And I mention him also because that gentleman I know very well who owns it, I went to school with him. Yes, I ended up working there before I did the knowledge, and that firm is still going today. And these drivers, they work well. But now, TfL decided, oh no, this other scheme is too much money to pass up. So we're going to open a third section now and allow them to roam the streets of London like the black cab. The only difference is these guys are doing so much different things to the public and we're not hearing about it. Because as those two compliance officers told the driver, it portrays a negative image. So don't you think it is right that the public should know if there are people in vehicles out here assaulting and accosting the public? Is that okay with TfL? That is okay, yes? You think it is wrong that drivers out here should portray and let the public know that they got to be careful what they do? You know, you look at the black cab. In my cab, there's a sign at the back that says the law requires you to wear a seatbelt. That means if you have children in that cab and that child is under 14, the driver is responsible for that child. Not the person who they're with. Now I notice in some of these cars, and I will say Uber again, okay? I notice in a lot of these cars, you will see sometimes people, they got their children, and they're jumping up and down on their lap in the back. You put your children in these cars. I said it a minute ago in the last video. You don't care whether they're properly insured or not. But because they're cheap, hey, to hell with all of that. You know what I mean? Your life is cheap. Your child's life is cheap. So you go in these cars. There's a difference if you phone one of these offices and get them send their car for you. But when you sit there on your phone and you say, oh, I can track it. But so can you track a black cab? There's a couple apps here now. You know, you got Cab app. You know, you got My Taxi. You've got Get. Yeah? Cabs have been taking credit cards for years on the computer cab, dial a cab. Yes, all of these apps have been there for years. But for some reason, the public thinks, you know what, I want to go this way. So hey, as I say to you, if that's how you feel, knock yourself out, man. You know? But in the West Indies, they have a saying, a new broom sweeps clean, but an old broom knows the corners. And the black cab is the old broom. You know? And we see it out here a lot. When all of a sudden, these cars, you've come into a road closure. Now what do? You reprogram your sat-nav. You know? The black cab driver, hey, our brains do the work. We just, adapt instantly. We ain't going to sit there and think what to do. And that's all London cab drivers. Yeah? And I know I strayed from the thing about the killer, but I haven't forgotten what I was saying to you. But I think all of this is relevant. Yes? Because we have chosen to represent this city in the proper way, not half measures. And I also say in some way the private hire driver who works from an office in some way represents this city also. But I will never, I repeat, I will never agree to anything that they've allowed Uber to do in this city. I will never agree to it. And there are people out there, they can say we're complaining. I will complain till the cows come home. Because what TFL has done here is wrong. There are drivers out here who can lose everything because of what they've done. People who took pride in doing this job. Some of them, I know of one in particular. He now drives big trucks for Tesco. Yeah? This is what they've done. And then they want to come and put reins on us. And say, oh, you know, black cab driver, you got compliance officers. Every minute you're on the black cab now. And the most insulting thing about this, you knock us down and now you're kicking us while we're down. You bring these little kids. And I call them kids. Because if they ain't over 30 years old, I have 4 children over 30 years old. So if they ain't over 30 years old, they're kids to me. And most of us who've been out here for years, pounding these streets and know them inside out, is an insult to have these little kids coming and telling me what is right and wrong around my cab. And as far as I'm concerned, they mean nothing to me. All right, they say they're doing a job, but learn to do your job properly. Do not come here now with a little piece of tin plastic or piece of metal around your neck and think you rule the roost. The last time I looked, I was self-employed. I don't work for TFL. And if TFL intends to want to tell us every minute what we should do for what we shouldn't do, then I think I might start demanding holiday pay and sick pay and overtime. The whole lot. So you can't be in the church and the dance house at the same time. Make up your mind. Because the last time I looked, I am registered as self-employed, a sole trader, not working for TFL. I worked for TFL when I was a knowledge examiner. Yes. So there we go. And as I said before, that guy that killed his wife, you let it run. That's what you did. And when the examiners refuse to test this man, you tell them it's none of their business. They're only there to test people. Well, hell no. The examiners are the buffer zone that stops lunatics from getting on the streets of London. But hey, that don't matter to TFL. We got to look at the PC world, yes, the diversity world. You know, make sure we're doing everything correct. Yeah? So, it got out there eventually about this guy that killed his wife. Demonstrations ended up at the carriage office. And the next thing we know, I think this guy went and assaulted his daughter. Now you take him off the knowledge. But he should never have been there in the first place. And don't get me wrong, many of us out here, even I, yes, have had convictions against our name, but it depends what for. And how long ago. You can't, you know, stop someone from earning a living because they've done bad in their past. Yeah? People change. But when you have someone who committed a killing, and then you're going to say, oh no, if he takes his medication, he's okay. You now want to put that person in a cab and let them pick up the public? Are you for real here? Come on, man. We're going down the madness route here now. And you're saying, oh, you know, we again, you come back to, oh, we have got to try and do everything right. No. Let's do it the way it should be done. You know, you've got rules there. You've got conditions there. Let's deal with them, man. But now we have all these guys on the streets now. Yes? I've just seen one of the comments from one of the people. I don't know if that guy is a cab driver. A guy by the name of Alan Wright, who's just come out of court because he was attacked with an iron bar by an Uber driver. And the thing about it is, the Uber driver needed an interpreter in court. That's a comment from one person who is commenting on what I'm saying here. And that man said he's just left court. So if this man needs an interpreter in court, how did he get that license in the first place? And this is where the downfall comes of allowing people to apply online. You don't know who's filling that form out. But if you had done like you should have done years ago and make them go to a reputable office and apply through the office, we wouldn't have this situation today. But you choose not. But you are doing it slightly. Yeah, you are doing it slightly. Yes, because you're allowing people to go straight to Uber and things like this. People are applying for the license. And now Uber has got cars all over this country who have London license on them. This should not be allowed. Because I've never seen a driver from Brighton with a Brighton license work in the streets of London. But that same Brighton driver can come to London and get a license from TfL. Slowly trying to destroy the black cab. Now, I'm not saying, I'm bigger than anybody, but I am one of them drivers who is prepared not to let that happen. Yeah? We've put our heart and soul into this. And, again, I come back to the mayor. You sit there and you say, oh, London is open for business. We're a first-class city. Well, let it be so. And stop all these idiots running around the streets of London, doing what they're doing. You say you can't stop them. Yes, you can. Obama used to say, yes, we can. I'm saying, Sadiq Khan, yes, you can. Because you change them rules in the public carriage office as when you see fit. Because you change them to allow Uber to be on the streets of London. So you can change them again. So don't sit there and tell us that you can't do nothing and you got to wait till you go through the courts. You've allowed this. You have created this monster. Like the Frankenstein monster. But look what happened to the Frankenstein monster in the end. The people rose up. Yeah? So you have to look now what you're doing to the cab driver. I'm not saying I am going to rise up. Because Rasta don't deal with the violence thing. We're not into it. But you can't say that about everybody out there. People are suffering out there because of TfL's incompetence. And I'm going to say this last bit because I really have to go. But I'm going to keep doing these and we're going to keep complaining. There are people out there saying, oh, cab driver. Well, we are going to keep complaining because I think I have the right to. And to me, if you want to drive people on the streets of this city, you have to be part of this city. You have to know something about this city. Okay? I can't pick up myself and go to goddamn France or wherever and drive nobody just like that. I can't speak a word of French. I can't do that. A lot of us can't do that. I can't just go in any of the country and get a license like that, but yet you can do it here. Because of our PC liberal attitude, the PC brigade. And I was going to keep saying it, and everybody should start saying it. The PC brigade. The white do-gooders. Yeah? Because there's drivers out here suffering, man. And people think it's a joke. We're just in awe of thinking, well, hang on a minute. You come to my cab every minute. You want to see this. Sometimes drivers' badges and bills are getting checked twice in 2 weeks. But you've got computers. You surely you could see you checked it the week before. And what do you think has happened in that time? Yet you allow these guys to drive. I can't have dark windows on my taxi. Yet most of these cars have blacked out windows. How can you have a vehicle drive in the public? I understand a chauffeur is different. And before I say anything else, this is why, even at the time I said it, the chauffeur's badge should be a different color to the private hire badge. Because the chauffeur is not sitting outside a Smith or Smithfield or Fabrics touting for business. The chauffeur most probably carries the same passenger over and over again. That's why the chauffeur's badge should not be the same as the private hire badge. It should be a different color. The school badges for the disabled vehicles should be a different color. Distinguish them. And you should make people go through a company, and then you would eliminate people who just get the badge to beat the congestion charge. And I don't know how you people who claim you're at the top can't see this. You're just issuing these badges and nobody has to prove that they work for a private hire firm. But as long as you make the money, hey, what the hell does people's safety matter? There's over 60 million people in England. We can lose a few. You know? But guys, I really have to go, and we will talk again. Peace. And all cab drivers, be lucky out there. Remember, you represent this city, just like me. Let me behave like it and look like it. If we start doing these things, then certain things will disappear from us. Yeah? Nice. Take care.